he came and he told me, how I would like us to go for coffee. Would you be interested? And I was like, yes, I am interested. Let's go for coffee.
I wish most ladies would be like you.
Sahi no, hakuna ati, playing hard to get.
Hard to get.
No.
Unasikia? Ladies, mnasikia pale? Akina so no mnasikia?
Pearl Radio, the home of fresh and classic hits.
My name is Catherine Wamuyu. Njue, I'm married to Njue, but I was born to a wonderful father called Kanyi. And I am born again. I am a mother of 2 lovely girls. I am also a minister of the gospel. I am also an author. And I love Jesus. I love this God that we keep praising.
Yes.
Yes.
Amazing. So glad that you are here. So Catherine, even as we start, we just want to get to know you a little bit of your background. So Catherine, where were you born?
I was born in a wonderful village called Getundote. That is Getundote.
Getundote.
Yes. That is in Karatina, Madera constituency. Yes, that is where I was born. I am a 5th born. Yes, from a family of 7.
Wow.
Yes, and I am the last girl. The others who are following me are boys. They're twins. So yeah, that's where I came from. Yes, I also went to school there, primary school. I went to school there, but for high school, or we used to call it secondary school, I went to Muranga, Kahuhia Girls High School. And then after Kahuhia, I, went to college. I went to KCA, College of Accountancy. I have never practiced accountancy. I keep telling my friends, I wish I didn't do it because I could not have wasted all that money because I really didn't like it. But I had gone there because I thought accountants make a lot of money. Actually, I knew accountants make a lot of money.
And I knew, but we aren't special.
Yes. So I didn't practice accounting, but I thank God because of that exposure, because I met a lot of friends there. I came to Nairobi for the first time. So, yeah, it was a good experience.
And let me ask, because you said that you are the 5th born. You know, number 5 is a number of grace.
Oh, yes.
And then number 7 is a number of completion.
Completion, yes.
So how was life being, being raised the 7 of you? And also, like, were you born from a Christian family?
Yes, I was born from a Christian family. And it was beautiful because as I was growing up, our firstborn, we have a really long, space of years. Then there is the secondborn, then there is the thirdborn. By the time I was growing up, my father was not really born again. But as I was, ile kujijua, as I was kujijua, then I met, he became born again. So before he got born again, sometimes my mama would not go to church, and those Sundays were the best. But they made sure, even if you're not going to church, you guys, all of you, get to church. So those Sundays were the best because those times my mom would cook mchele and beans, mchele and beans, the mixture, and that for a village, it was, a luxury. So those were good memories. And as my father went into becoming, more involved in church, we grew up in the PCA background. As he went on to be involved in church, even as we now followed suit, and it was beautiful growing in church. And that is one thing that I give thanks to my parents for, that they never removed us from church. They showed us you need to stay in church because it has shaped me. It has shaped who I am. So it was wonderful. It was great. I was in Sunday school. I was doing solo verses. I was singing. I was doing all those in PCA. There is the Sunday school, there is brigade, and then after brigade there is the youth. So I was involved in all that, and it was a wonderful time growing up in church. I was a let me say, a very bright student. So I grew up being, happy in school from class 1 to class 8. So my childhood was wonderful in church. My siblings were great. We grew up in a family full of love. We don't know how to talk back to each other. We don't know how to fight. We only know how to, lift each other up. So that's the kind of home I grew up in. My parents were teachers. My father, who is still alive, is a retired teacher. My mom, who went to be with the Lord in 2021, was a teacher. So it was a beautiful time growing up. Yes.
Wow. And even as we're talking about growing up, what are some of those challenges you encountered as Catherine, even before you even got married and everything?
Challenges as in childhood?
Yes.
Let me say, I grew up, as you can see, as beautiful as I am, I grew up quite short. So I always felt that, I am too short. I'm too short. And because even as I was growing up, the people who were in the same class with me, of course, they were bigger heights than me, and so they kept asking me, wewe unafanya nini? Why? Umefika hii class kweli, because I was really short. So that is one thing that I kept telling God, because all my siblings are not as short, or were, because right now when we look at each other, we're in the same height.
Yes.
I kept seeing like they were not as short as I was. So I kept telling God, me, I need you to add 2 or 4 inches to me. So that was one of the challenge as I was growing up. And
after school?
After school, after school, that is primary and high school. After high school, I came to Nairobi. And when I came to Nairobi, I was free bird. You understand what I'm saying? I'm coming from a background of church, and then here I am in school. No one knows where you are or what you're doing. And so the freedom for me was a challenge. Was a challenge in that I tried to find myself in so many things. And that is why, in fact, when we will talk about the book I'm writing, that's why I'm writing the book that I'm writing, because of the challenges that I went through between that period of 18 and maybe say 25, because I got married at 25. 18 and 25. So the challenges were really, trying to balance between being born again and being a young girl in Nairobi, and trying to, get this life in Nairobi and in it's called what? The college life. Those were the challenges that I faced.
So how are you, baby? What are some of those temptations that you encounter? Because I know you're born again, and then unakuja Nairobi, you receive the shock of your life.
Israel, let me tell you, it was serious shaking, because you're here, there is nightclubs, there is going out, there is people are wondering what you need to be in church 24/7. So I think that time of my life, I think I just told Jesus, you Jesus, stay here kidogo, relax kidogo, let me see let me see what's going on here. And I most of my friends that we've walked with through that journey, enyewe they say, enyewe Kate, if God could get you from that space and be here and you're ministering, even as we are coming, God is going to rescue
But I want to know exactly, what did you do?
Yes. You want the full,
yes,
the full of it?
Yes.
I remember, because I used to have 2 lives. Yeah, because after high school, after college, of course, there's a long holiday. So you you go home. At home, I'm this born again girl. I'm this girl who is, in church. But when I come to college, we will have parties, and there is drinking, there is going out, and there's all these things happening in my life at that period. That is between 18 and 25. Yes.
Wow.
But here I am. Thank you, God, for the grace.
Raised in a Christian background, in a Christian family, don't get to see the world, so you want to test to see if it's good.
Yes, definitely.
But let me ask, how are you managing to keep up?
How was I managing to keep up?
Yes.
You have few people from Getondote in Nairobi, so not many people are, seeing you. And then we went like that, and school was over as quickly as it started. So you're going home less and less time. But by that time, I had already rededicated my life to Christ. My sister, who is a reverend, kept praying for me. For that time, she kept praying for me. She kept, asking me, what is wrong with you?
But let me ask,
yes,
before you even got born again, were you involved in any vices? But you're only into drinking?
Yes, and partying and dancing and such things.
Okay.
Yeah, the young people things.
Yeah.
Young people things. Yeah.
So your sister has been praying for you?
Yeah, she was praying for me. She's a reverend now. She used to pray for me, and every time I would, always a born again person, always a born again person. You know that there's a God in heaven. There's someone when you are going, when you are going through challenges, you're there, you're calling and asking her, how can, I am here, I am struggling, I am lonely, I am like this. And she'll tell me, come back to God, let us pray. Come back to God, let us pray. And she never, relented from that. And I thank God for that time, because if, if it were not for her consistency to help me, and also, God has many ways of getting back the prodigal sons, God has many ways. So if it were not for her persistence and consistency at that time, I think mambo ingeenda mrama.
Let me ask, were you feeling any guilt, in your conscience, that the fact that, whatever I'm doing, it's not right? Were you feeling any guilt, or maybe you're just okay, like, how God don't understand?
No, of course I'm feeling this is not where I'm supposed to be. I was feeling I'm failing. Actually, I was feeling I'm failing. I've been brought up in a background that tells you kukunywa ni mbaya, kupati ni mbaya, and I was feeling I really don't belong here. But the crowd was pulling me like nothing else.
Yeah. And
the peer pressure at that time, and also, as you said, the thrill to explore. Let me see how far this can go, Yeah, but all in all, of course, the guilt was there. But nakaza too until one day.
Yeah. So let's talk about this one day. How did you have this encounter now with the Lord Jesus?
Wow, this one day I remember I was in between school and working. I was working in between school. I was working. I got a small job. I was working, and it was going really bad because things were not looking well. Wadosi, every time they are complaining, and I felt like, I'm going to be fired. At that time, the relationship that the opposite sex relationship that I had was not working.
So you were in a relationship?
Yes, I was in a relationship.
How did it go?
It went down. It went down south.
When ulipigwa character development?
Nilipigwa character development vibaya sana. So it went down.
So you're dating for how many years?
Do I call it dating or I call it, happy-go-lucky in college? yeah, for some time, you know.
So it's a guy you met in campus?
Yes, it's a guy I had met in campus.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it was not really, okay, it was a relationship, but not really serious. But, you know, you are in your 18, you think that this is the man you will spend the rest of your life with.
Yes.
So when character development comes,
Yeah.
it develops you well. Yeah, so after, in that season, that's when I told God, my sister told me, no, just call unto the Lord, he hears. I told God, now enough is enough. I want to rededicate my life to you, and I want to serve you fully. That's the declaration I made in my house. I was living in Umoja at that time.
Yeah.
And yes, God's open arms are open like that. You say, God, I need you. I need to come back into your pen, and he's coming, you know, and that's how it happened. And I quickly, you know, got back to my feet again, and I thank God. I thank God because of the things that happened at that time, because otherwise I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have a journey of faith. I wouldn't have a journey of, you know, knowing who this God really is. Yes.
Now, after giving a life to Jesus Christ, I know there were those friends who were like, who is Asa? Because you're going to party together.
Yes.
So how was their response after hearing this news?
Oh my goodness. And I know they are listening, and I know they are laughing. They are laughing. You know what happened?
Yeah.
After I gave my life to Christ.
Yeah.
Now I told myself, okay, my friends are still my friends, and I love them. I don't want to, you know, alienate myself from them.
Yes.
I want to accommodate them in their whatever we were doing. I will accommodate them, and we will walk together until also they give their life to Christ, as I have done. And sometimes they would tell me, Kate, you know what, tuko mahali fulani, kuja. And I'll tell them, yes, I'm coming. I don't drink anymore, but I will come, and I will stay with you guys, and I will preach to you guys as you drink your beers until you get born again. After some time, I could not even sustain that, because I felt, I started feeling that this environment is just not working. I would go and I would get so angry. You know, the way you feel so angry, I would get so agitated, I would get so, you know, and even anything else that, even wine or whatever, I would feel, this one I can't take. And that's how I told them, now, you guys, I love you, but now let's move this way, and let's try something else, you know, let's try this Jesus, and see if he has something better for us. So the relationship shaked a bit, but we stood strong, because they're good friends. They're good friends of mine, and I think I don't know, they will testify someday. I didn't force the salvation so much on them, or condemn them, but we tried to walk. Up to now, we are still tight friends. Up to now, we are still wonderful friends. We have a group called Blessed and Favored Ladies, and we are still walking together.
Amazing.
Yes.
I love the fact that you decided to reach out. But let's talk about now how now you know, after now decided that I'm going to be serious with this salvation.
Yeah.
Now, how did you even, you know, by the way, what did you pursue now later on after campus? What
after
did you do?
campus,
Yeah.
I continued to work in the company that I was in. It was Caps Limited. Then after that, I went to work in a bank. It was a mysterious way that I went to work in a bank. After that, in my first and second year of banking, then I got married, so I quit my job. Then I went into fashion and design, my own things. Yeah, then after fashion and design, I went back to work again. And after going back to work again, now I am a full-time minister and author.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. But we'll have to know, because there's a love story. You mentioned that you met your husband. So
Yes.
you got married. How
Yes.
did you meet your husband, and you know, how
Wow.
how did it happen?
So in that encounter that I told you,
Yes.
that I told God, enough is enough. You know, character development, umepigwa vizuri. Things at work are not working. There are threats of being fired. So I told God, I really need a turnaround, and I want to serve you. I actually meant it.
Yeah.
I want to serve you. However you want me to serve you, I want to serve you. And at that point, if anyone who has had an encounter with God, things were just happening, and I felt a newness had come into me. So continued like that, and then I'm there, and I start feeling lonely. I'm lonely. I was used to having a relationship, and sharing challenges zikikuja, namwambia manze kuko hivi. Now I'm lonely. I have no one to share with. So I told God, where? Things are not okay. Things are not okay.
Yeah.
You need to take care of this loneliness. You really need to. And of course, my sister at that point, I told you my sister was played a very big role in how I stood strong at that time. So I called her and I told her, Uku, me, I'm just lonely. I need God to show me if I want to get married or what. And my sister told me, you think God is going to bring someone? Go out on dates and date people and see if, you really like them. So at that point I was like, no. I keep telling my friends and they keep laughing, because at that point I was so fired up for God. I used to pray, I want to get married to a pastor, because it's only a pastor who can have keshas with me. The way you're fired up. You just want to pray and have keshas. And I thought, I don't know if it is the people that I had interacted with. I didn't know that I had not met men who loved Jesus, love Jesus, and they're just there. The people I had met, I knew that if a man had to love Jesus, he has to be loud, he has to go for keshas, he has to pray, and only a pastor. I had only seen pastors. That's the way they look like. So I told God, no, I need a man. I need to get married, or however, you need to show me where my direction is taking after this. So my sister told me, go on dates. And my husband, where I was working at Caps Limited, he used to come and park his car there most of the time. In fact, he was on my phone book. I had saved him as a stranger, because every time, hello, how are you? But at that point, I was very, very born again. Yeah. I don't talk to men, I only wait for the pastor that God is going to bring. So I'm there, hello, how are you? I'm like, this stranger likes to greet me all the time. Hello, how are you? Can I give you a number and then you save? Yeah, bring your number, stranger. I saved him, stranger. And at some point I got transferred from CAPS had many points. So I got transferred from where we used to meet with the stranger who is now my husband, and went to another station. So a year later, I came back to the same station. Now. And now, of course, when talking to my sister and her telling me to date, of course, it doesn't take one day. It's a duration.
Sharing this love story. Yes, how you met Mr. Kanyi.
Mr. Njue.
Mr. Njue. Kanyi is
my dad.
Is your dad.
Yes.
Njue now is your husband.
My husband.
Yeah.
No problem.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. How did you meet Mr. Njue? So you're telling us that you came back to this station.
Yes.
So how did it happen? Who made the first move?
Of course, it is Mr. Njue, because he saw that you're back. You're back, and now right at this time, Kate is really, my sister, who I looked up in terms of salvation, had told me, you date. Don't worry, you date. So now I was open to dating. So I'm not talking to men. Now I can talk to men. So he came and he told me, how I would would like us to go for coffee. Would you be interested? And I was like, yes, I am interested. Let's go for coffee.
I wish most ladies would be like you.
Sahi no, hakuna ati, you know, playing hard to get.
Hard to get.
No.
Unasikia? Ladies, mnasikia pale? Akina so no mnasikia? Okay, continue.
Yeah, so I said yes, I want to go to a date, and I thank God because the Bible says that the steps of a righteous man are ordered by him, and he delights in all his endeavors. So I thank God because I thought he was a stranger, and I was, you know, pushing him away. But kumbe, the Lord is, you know, ordering my steps. So I said yes. And I remember he invited me to go to a date. And on the date, we were watching a football match. And yes, I was an Arsenal fan, and he was an Arsenal fan. And we won. That day we won.
Hey.
That day we won.
But you didn't win the league, yeah?
No, those days Arsenal was winning leagues. It was Kitambo 2011. Those days Arsenal was Arsenal. Okay. Yes.
So both of you are supporting Arsenal?
Yes, up to now. Okay. We still support Arsenal. So shikilia hadi mwisho.
Yes.
So we went to that game, and he had invited me to a restaurant that had, you know, a lounge. People were drinking sijui what, and I was like, what is this? Me, I want a pastor. Who is this? So I just went for the date, and I sat and I said, my first nini, let me see what he's taking. And he was taking a cup of tea. So tick number 1. The environment I don't like, but nikachai. So let's see where we go with this. So and I remember when he offered to drop me at home, and I was like, yeah. And the whole journey from Nairobi, I told you I used to stay in Umoja, from Nairobi CBD to Umoja. He was just saying, oh God, you know, God did this, God then did that, then, you know, God. I was like, this is the pastor. This is what I have been praying
Man
for.
of God.
Man of God. And my spirit was like, this is the one. So na nikafunga hiyo chapter. I didn't tell him anything. Nilifungia chapter hapo. This is the one. And I went and I told my sister, and I told me, I think I have found the one.
Yeah.
And it took some time because he I don't know, personally for me, I had fungaed the chapter, but he was not in a hurry to, you know, marry at that point. But we went on being friends. And then I think someone told him, because even him, he was praying. Someone told him, your wife is in your phone book. Your wife is in your phone book, and you are not, you know, you're not heeding to the call. So one day he invited me to a wedding, his brother's wedding. I didn't go because I felt I don't know you well enough to come.
Yeah.
So he told me, you know, you stood me up, and that was the day that I wanted to say, you know, today is the day. But after a few months later, he called me and we went for another date. And now he said, you know what, I'm looking for a wife. Are you ready to be a wife? And I love you. I love how you love God. And can you be my wife? Yeah. And I was like, okay, when is the wedding?
No wasting time.
Yes, when is the wedding? Yeah, our duration between dating and the wedding took like 6 months, I think. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I love that because you guys already knew what you want.
Yes, this one wants a wife who is God-fearing. I want a man who fears God. Remember, I had told you that I didn't know that men could talk about God openly. I only knew pastors. He was not a pastor.
Yeah.
But I only knew that only pastors can talk about God openly. And here is a man who is not ashamed to talk about this God, who is not ashamed to give a testimony about God. So I was sold out. And so far, so good.
You know, I love the fact that you did it for 6 months.
Yes.
Kuna watu wako kwa relationship management. Why don't you graduate? They're in their 4th year.
Oh no.
You know, I don't know. I think like we mentioned that when you really know what you want,
Yes.
don't need to waste a lot of time.
No.
Because you can never know a person even if you take 10 years. Because every single day.
Yes, things are coming up, and the more you get familiar to each other, ndio tu vitu tunatokanga kwa marriage, ndio tunatoka kwa dating.
Yes.
And then you start doubting. You're wondering, you kweli, is this really the one? Because the more you get familiar to someone, the more they become the true self, you know. And sometimes the true self, Israel, you're married, you know, the true self is apana, apana siku, I didn't give an ini for this. Yeah, so if you find the one and he's aligning to the beliefs, I keep telling people, you have to have, the belief has to align. You can't say ati atachangia kwa marriage.
Yes.
It's not coming. The beliefs have to align. Your values, what are the values that you have, and the character that you want to see in a person. Yeah, so.
And now when you got married, you know, people think like marriage is a bed of roses, like lovey-dovey throughout. But for you experience challenges because you mentioned this part of, in your book, right? So talk to us about it. How did it happen? And how long have you been married right now?
We are in 2024.
Yes.
I got married in 2013. That's 12, how many years? 11.
Yes,
I am 11 years in marriage. Yes, so we got married. I was young at that point, 25, and I thought, you know, the way you think when you get married, 1 year honeymoon, then you get the children, then you know, get a lot of money, things go smooth and good, but that doesn't happen, and it didn't happen for us. Because the first year after we got married, I told you I quit my job in where I was working.
Yes.
So after quitting my job, I am there, and the first year, for the first year I worked. Then in the second year in our marriage, I quit my job, and we were used to, you know, people who are meeting at 10 because everybody is coming back late. So when I quit my job, I found that you know, there's something missing. There's something missing in here because he's coming at 10. I am there the whole day doing a lot of nothing. I start feeling I think I really need children. You know, we need children. And that conversation, we had not had it when we were getting married. You see, our dating years was 20, you know. So we had not had that how many children do you want? What if the children get late? Actually, we didn't know there's such a conversation to have. So that is the first year challenges. The second year, now challenges of being lonely in marriage because I'm not working, but he is working, very busy. He comes at 10. I am here from 9 to 10. So now I started feeling, we need maybe someone. Kamutu kakuje.
Yes.
Now third year comes. We are still waiting and looking to see children are not coming. By this time, people are giving you time. Wanasema labda honeymoon wanasongesha. Labda they said the honeymoon is for 3 years. Then 4 years comes at we were in marriage 4 years. Is that 2017? Yes, 2017.
Yes.
In 2017. We are still, you know, hoping for children. So I got tired of staying in a lonely house. So I told my husband, I'm looking for a job. So I went to my manager, who used to be my manager in the bank, and I told her, hey, you know what, give me a job. I am tired of hustling and staying in the house. And she gave me a job, and I used to work at a hotel in town. And we were doing a lot of cleaning and stuff. So I was happy to have a job, and the stories about children now, of course I forgot about them now because I'm busy. So as I was going on with my business, I remember one day we were trying. We are from the first year to here, we are not using anything for, you know, we are waiting to get children. So I got you know, when you are looking for children, you have pregnancy kits every month. So every month you're checking, And I remember one day I checked and it was positive.
It is positive.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Yes, I have a positive line, 2 lines,
Yes.
That means that you have positive, you're pregnant. And there's something that had happened before I got this positive. Now after you are in the first year, you're in the second year, you're in the third year, now people now start praying for you. They start calling you for meetings. They start asking you, okay, ni vile honeymoon, you want it to go longer or what is going on? And I remember because of the many emotions that comes with being prayed for, being asked, the many emotions that come with that when you are waiting for a child.
Yes.
I went on my knees and I told God, I was, as Israel, I've given my story, I was used to God, going to God, asking him and him answering and us moving on.
Yeah.
So I went to God again and I told him, you know what, God, you need to give me a specific answer, what I'm going to be telling people. Because right now they're asking me, I don't know if you want me to give me children, or you just got us married for, us to be two happy people serving you in this world. I don't know. So tell me today so that when people ask me, I will have a specific answer to give them. And it was an emotional prayer because I was kneeling down and I am there and I heard God say, I am going to give you a child and you're going to name that child Amaria. And I keep saying this because it is true. I had never heard of the name Amaria. I didn't know there was children who are called Amaria. So as I rose up from that prayer point, I went to the dictionary and to see, okay, you have said Amaria. Let me see what Amaria means. And Amaria means promised of God. So I rose up knowing that God has spoken to me and he has given a promise that he is going to give me a child. Maria means promised of God. So as I was going around with, my work and everything that I am doing, I knew that God has promised a child, a Maria, promised of God. So the pressure ikashuka kidogo because I know this God is not a God who can just say. And me not having heard of the name Amaria, I knew that this is not my own thoughts. Ama things zile vitu unasikianga huko ukiwa umelala. No, this is a voice of God that I heard. So when I got that positive, that is maybe maybe that year, the third year, when I got that positive in 2016, I knew that this is Amaria. So as early as the 2 lines, I told everybody that who had been talking to us, I told everybody who would listen that, I am pregnant, I am going to get a baby called Amaria, and so forth and so forth. And I remember after some few weeks or so, after some few weeks, I started seeing some bleeding. And I rushed to the hospital because, when the pregnancy is early, when you see bleeding, kimbia mbio. So I went to the hospital and the first thing they do is they do a scan to see if what is happening to the pregnancy. So at that time I was living in Pangani. So I went to a sonographer near in Pangani. And he did the scan and he said, you know what, this pregnancy is not viable and it's actually coming out. So what you need to do is you need to go and get cleaned out, something called D&C, so that you can, clean up your womb and everything else so that there's no residue to be left there. So, and that is what I did.
Yes.
We went with my husband and we did what the sonographer had said. And we went on with our lives because what else is there to do? But remember, I already knew that, God has given me a promise.
Yes.
So that was 4 weeks after I had seen the 2 lines, the positive test. So after that, I go and I am continuing working. I am very vigorous in work and all, but I'm still feeling pregnant. I'm still feeling I want to eat a lot of that time I used to eat nyama choma from the kibandas. That is what my hormones wanted to eat.
So this is after
I did the DNC, after I had done the cleaning and all, but still I am feeling pregnant. So, but I didn't give much thought to it because I thought hormones ndio, you know, they're not yet, off my body. So I'm continuing with work. I am eating a lot. I am sleeping a lot because I used to sleep a lot. Then one day I am working. I told you I was working in a particular hotel in town at that point. And one day I'm taking a plate of chips during lunch. And my colleagues who we were seated with, they told me I gave a sharp shout, like I was in very much pain. And in fact, my face changed, but I couldn't see myself. I thought, it's not something big. So they told me, we want to carry you. I told them, no, I can walk. Don't carry me, I can walk. They told me, no, Kate, we are going to carry you. Because I think the way I looked like I was in so much pain. And I was. I was in so much pain. Ile kujikaza, you don't want to look like you are in pain.
Yes.
Thanks be to God. I keep saying that, the steps of I love that. I love that scripture. Psalms 37. The steps of a righteous man are ordered by God. Where we were working, just across the hall, there was a clinic. There was a clinic, like a small clinic where you could go and do tests and all. So that's where they rushed me, just across the hall, a few meters. So they carried me and they put me there. And the first thing the lady asked me as I was there in pain is, are you pregnant? I told her, I don't think so, because I was, but the pregnancy is no longer there. And this being 2 weeks, it was now 2 weeks after the DNC. This being 2 weeks, I can't be pregnant. But she said, because of the way you're holding, where the pain is coming from and how you're reacting, just go and get a scan so that we rule out pregnancy. So the scan, the place where I would be scanned was across the road from the hotel that I was coming from, and it was so much pain to walk across the street. So I get to the hotel, to the scan clinic. It was it's a hospital actually, and I find that there are many pregnant women waiting in line because they want to get their pregnancies scanned. You see, mine is not showing. So I was told, now sit on the line, wait in line. There were a few pregnant women before me. And as I was waiting on the line, I just started vomiting. I am vomiting, and it's like I'm going in and out of consciousness. So the lady, when she came to call one of the, pregnant ladies, she saw me. And she asked me, what's the matter? Please bring her in, because she seems like something is not right. So they put me on the table, and the sonographer, now another sonographer, is doing a scan and asking me, are you pregnant? I tell them, I don't think I'm pregnant. And to our shock, the pregnancy was there, but it was in the fallopian tubes.
What?
Yes. And she's like, there is a baby here, and the heartbeat is so strong. And she asked me, do you want to hear the heartbeat? And I was like, yes, let me hear the heartbeat. And you could hear how strong the heartbeat was. But she told us there is so much bleeding in this womb because now your fallopian is ruptured. Right at that point, the baby was 9 weeks. A 9 weeks baby in the fallopian tube is gigantic. Yes. So it was a matter of life and death. The reason for the vomit and in and out of consciousness is because the pressure was going up because of the bleeding that is happening. So from that point, it was an emergency. I need to be taken to theater immediately. Otherwise, my day ends there. So we go back to the hospital, the clinic that had diagnosed, and I give them the result. And thanks be to God, they were affiliated to another hospital in Nairobi West. So they rang the hospital and said, so and so is coming, you wait for her. So my husband was with me all that time, and so they asked him, do you want us to get an ambulance? And he was like, no, let me carry my wife. Whatever happens, let me be with her so that we get to the hospital. And it was around 5 p.m. So ni Masaya traffic, and we have to get from Nairobi to Nairobi West. Saiyo hakukuwa na expressway. It was just, let's go and ngangana with this jam. But he really went, and every bump, every rush was painful, really painful, and he could ask me, are you okay? Are you okay? And we reached to the hospital in Nairobi West, and the doctors are waiting for us, and they say this pressure is too high, we can't even operate now, we need to stabilize her, and then we go to the theater. That's the last thing I remember about in the reception area. That's the last thing I remember. The next thing, I find myself up, and my husband is there, and now it's time, you to recover, and without a fallopian tube, because already it was too much damaged. They had to remove it. So here I am, the miscarriage and this ectopic, and now no fallopian tube. And as I was leaving that hospital, I asked the doctor, because now if I need to have some hope, I asked the doctor, so what, because you are in there, did you see the other fallopian tube? And what do you think about it? And the doctor told me, we saw it, but it looks shriveled. I don't think there is any hope for you there. And I told my husband, never, hata nikakuwa mgonjwa, never bring me to this hospital again. I was so heartbroken. I felt so, nothing. I felt like the hope that I had was gone. But we went home, and we trusted in God, who had said that I am going to give you a child, and you are going to name her Amaria, promised of God.
Now let me get this.
Yes.
This is a child who, you trusted in God and you believed this word.
Yes.
After waiting for 4 years, right?
Yes, that was in the 4th year. Yes.
4th year.
Mm-hmm.
And then God is blessing you with a child. Mm-hmm. And then
I have told everybody that I know. And then the child, there's no hope actually, because the doctor who had seen, you can't see the fallopian tube.
Yes.
Ndo alikuwa uko ndani. So he said, it's shriveled. So we go home with news of heartbreak, and we go home with news of wondering, okay, where do we go from there? But I never lost hope of the promise. I said, God is a God of impossibilities. If he said, he can bring that promise to pass. If that is what he said, because I knew that I had heard the voice of God, that is what is going to happen. And so we continued to stay, but I love this God because he is a faithful God. Because 6 months later, what happened is 6 months later, that was, I don't remember the months very well, but I remember it was 6 months later, in the same year, I got another positive.
Wow.
Yes, I remember that the tube is shriveled. You have one, and the one you are hoping is shriveled. And sometimes people think that giving birth is very easy. But ovulation happens only once in a month. Yeah. Only once. So the chances are really high if you have one fallopian tube.
Yeah.
If two, now you have one. So 6 months later, I get a positive test. The word of God says that he is faithful.
Yes.
Even when we are unfaithful, he remains faithful because he cannot deny who he is.
Yes.
And that is true. And once we believe in the word of God, it becomes life in us. So as I was saying, I love that song because I am a testimony. I am a testimony. Every moment of my life, I have testified of how God has remained faithful. So I was saying 6 months later, I got another positive pregnancy. And here I am rejoicing. I am so grateful. So I tell everybody again, everybody and more. So I announced to everybody, we are pregnant. My God has done it. Remember, we had some news that were disappointing, that seemed like, there's no hope. So here we are again with a positive pregnancy. I didn't even wait for whatever months people wait for. I just told everybody. And to our disappointment, a few weeks later, 6 weeks to be precise, I start seeing some bleeding. And you were saying the challenges that come with, having a miscarriage and then having another pregnancy. You don't enjoy any moment of it, because every time you're crossing your fingers like this, hoping that you are not going to go through the turmoil again. So I remember I was really nervous, and every time I would go to the toilet, I would say, no, please God, please God, please God. You are just there. But this day came, and I remember I told you we have a group called Blessed and Favored, and we were there and we were having good time with the girls, and I saw some bleeding, and I called my husband and I told him, where I have seen some bleeding, I need to go to the hospital. So I go to the hospital, and this time round, I didn't just go to someone to, check the scan. I went to the hospital, and the lady, she was really nice. She told us, she did a scan, and she said, I can see a placenta, but it is not being attached to the embryo, or whatever terms they used. But there is also a bleeding in your tummy. They called it a necrotic bleeding or something, some names that they used. So let's wait it out. Let me give you some medicine. We wait it out. We see if the placenta is going to attach. So we go home. And I think she was just, encouraging us, and the way doctors do. So we went home, and she told us, come after 2 weeks, so that we really see what is happening. So we went home and waited out. Of course, the bleeding is continuing, kidogo kidogo. So at 8 weeks, I go back again, and she says, unfortunately, even this one is not going to stay. So she gave us an option. If I do a DNC, a full surgery where you are, go full blown into a coma, and then they clean you up, or I go to another doctor who had done the first one before. So I opted to go to the first one before. And I remember this time when they give you it's called what? The dawa.
Anesthetic.
Thank you. Depends with where you came from.
Yeah.
So they gave me that, and now I remember crying and telling my husband, I'm so sorry that my body has that I have failed you. I felt that, my body has failed to do what it ought to do. And most of women who has gone through miscarriage, because I've talked to a lot of women who have gone through that, they feel that, they feel like it's a responsibility. It's your responsibility to bring this life, and it is not happening. And that is that's the cause of the pain that comes with it, because you feel like you're a failure. You feel like, I'm not doing right. Some even think it is because I worked too much. Others think, I was not eating right, and it eats upon the woman, mostly the women, because women's emotions come here and go. And of course, men, they may not talk, but also it is something that hits them hard, because losing a child is such a great pain. So we went back with my husband, and I'm crying, and he is like, don't worry. And he doesn't even have the words to tell me, because even he's going through something. He was the champion of Amaria. Amaria is here. In fact, most of the time when people would ask me, because most of the time people ask the woman, not the man.
Yeah.
They ask me, where are the children? He would commercial them and tell them, who told you we got married to get children? Who told you? And so he was looking forward also to this promise that God had given. But now this is the second miscarriage, and we went home, and I was quite broken. The first one, I shock absorbers zilikuwa kidogo. The second one, I was quite broken. And I actually even didn't tell a lot of people. I just went to work and I told my boss. You remember I had gone to ask her for the job, and she was really supportive of me. And I told her I can't work anymore. And she asked me, because I told everybody I'm pregnant. She asked me, why do you want to quit work? You can work even when you're pregnant, you know. Even if it is time you want, I'll give you. And I couldn't even bring to tell her that, you know, I'm quitting, not because the other pregnancy is gone. So I just told her, no, I feel like my body needs to just rest. And I quit my job and I went home. And those days were days of prayer. Serious. I was like, okay, now I really need a direction in my life. And I remember again praying and asking God, okay, you said that you are going to give us a Maria, and here the tube you gave is not working, and the tube now is not working. You gave us another one, the miscarriage. I have lost all hope. And I remember, because I know what, you know, he spoke to me, and he told me, you know what, Kate, that pregnancy that I gave you was to give you a ray of hope, that your tube is working. Don't think that because someone said it's shriveled, it's not working. That is a ray of hope that I have given you. And in fact, now I'm not only going to give you a Maria, I'll give you 2 children, and you're going to call one Amaria and the other one Nathaniel. That is the 4th year. 26. Is it the 4th year? Or yes, 2016. Yes, the 4th year ikiingia 2016. So we are there. And I have another promise now. I have been given a ray of hope. Yes, my tube is working. And God has spoken the second time.
Yes.
So I am holding on like crazy. This one I am not letting go. So I didn't go back to work. Now I start just doing my own works in fashion and serving in church, serving a lot in church, in the ministry that I was serving at that point. So I knew in my mind, because God had given the other positive test had come after 6 months. I knew in 6 months time I am going to have another pregnancy. Woe unto me. 6 months came, nothing. Another 6 months came, nothing. Another 6 months came, nothing. Another 6 months came, nothing. Now we are in 2019. From 2016, waiting and holding on and keeping on to the promise. And there are no more miscarriages. There's just waiting and pregnancy test after a pregnancy test. You are hoping that this is the month. This is the month. So 3 years passed. And in 2019, I remember my sister, not my mother's sister, but a sister from another area. She told me, "Ay, Kate, Nyinyi, what do you think about your life? Munafikirianga nini?" Now this is 7 years into it. Actually 6 years into it. What? Munafikirianga nini? What do you do about all this? And I told her, we are waiting on God.
Yeah.
And she told me, wait, be serious with life. You know, a woman is the one who takes charge of her home. You need to be serious and take this thing seriously. And I was like, yeah, maybe I'm not serious. Because all that time, when someone tells us we have a really good, doctor, we have a really good fertility doctor, please go. We go 1 month, we see, uku, wacha tuachane. We don't follow through, we don't go for tests. We are just there and knowing that the grace that God, in fact, the grace that God had given us, I can't even try to explain it. Because people thought that we are just there looking happy and okay. And yet here we are. And people are worried, especially family. They are worried now, seriously. Wondering, what's wrong with them? So we, that is in 2019. Actually, I think it was in 2018 when I got the talk. Yeah. So I tell myself, Kate, you need to be serious. Now, I think God alisema, but wacha tumkutange akikuja, you know?
Yes.
And I I go 2019. I tell my husband when we are making the resolutions for 2020. So I told him, now hear this from me, and I'm very serious right now. Next year we are going to go to the IVF clinic. You look for 400,000 money so that we go, and we are going to go that way because it seems this tube really is not working. That is in 2019 when we are making the resolutions. And in that year, we went to a couples retreat. And that was in November. And by the time I'm coming back in December, I don't have my periods. 2019, the end of 2019. You hear, I have already told him.
Yeah.
2020, tunafanya hii kitu. So, I don't have my periods. December, January, February. And I'm like, okay, this... Then I test. Okay, I tested. Of course, you test every other time. When you're waiting for children, you test.
Yeah.
So I tested in December. It's positive. And I say, Haya, Mungu ameona he doesn't want his glory to be shared by any other person, because I was serious. Any 400,000 I would have gotten straight. So I get a positive test in December. And I keep quiet. Right now, I'm not telling anyone because I have been through, my big mouth.
Yes.
And the pain that comes with people telling you, oh, Pole. Now, I didn't want that again. I said, let me now just keep it to myself and my husband, and let's see how this goes. And we go the first month, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. We've passed the mark that is called, the mark that is for people who had miscarriage. We passed the mark. 8 weeks, where we lost the other miscarriage, we passed the mark. 12 weeks, I'm like, wow, yeah, I think I can tell a few people, a few of my friends, or family. And I told them, and I continue to hope and pray. And my husband said, now, we don't need to keep crossing our fingers. Let's tell God that let's start praying for Amaria. Let's start saying, we thank you, God, for Amaria. We thank you for this life. We thank you. And that is what we started doing. We started praying, calling the baby by name. It's at 12 weeks.
Yes.
And right now, you're there. Every time you go to the toilet, you hope and pray that there is nothing. And 12 weeks passes. 20, it goes with the semesters. The first semester passes, a third semester passes, and that pregnancy it was so smooth. I would walk from my home. We had moved now to Buruburu. I would move. My pastor's house was in Buruburu. It was the COVID era. There's nothing else you're doing. You're either in the house or people are doing, most of ministries were doing ministries from their homes. So me, I am walking from this end to my pastor's house every day to just go there and fellowship and praise. And the pregnancy was so smooth, and came September 13th, a full term of my pregnancy, and a bouncing baby boy, 3.8 baby girl. Where did I get the boy from? Baby girl, 3.8 kg. Amaria Wendo. That's what we named her, Amaria Wendo. Amaria is the name that God had given me, obviously, and now Wendo. And she was here, and she was a testimony to us that, indeed, God keeps his promises.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. That is a testimony.
96.9 FM, Pearl Radio.